Hi, and happy Easter as I count down to 50. I almost didn't do a video today. I'm not feeling so hot, and I cooked a ton of food. I try not to let AIDS get in the way of the things that I enjoy doing, and I enjoy feeding people, and I enjoy cooking, especially on the holidays, and so I'm a little tired. But as I was crawling into bed with my last tea and some peach cobbler for the evening, I thought about my commitment to do 50 videos as I count down to 50. And so I thought I'd go ahead and be a woman of my word, which is what I try to do all the time. Today is Easter, and I thought a lot about the significance of Easter for me and my faith. You know, I started out in church very early. My mother didn't go to church. My mother who raised me didn't go to church, but her mother went to church. And so Grandmama came over to the house one Saturday, and had a showdown with Mama. And she basically said, everybody in this house going to hell but my grandbaby. And so it started my relationship with Christ as I know it to be. And so Grandmama would pick me up on Fridays, and I'd spend the weekend with her, and I would go to church with her on Sunday, and I'd come back Sunday night. And it was a reprieve for me from my house and my mama's madness and my mother's abuse, basically. And it was the church was the one place where everybody was nice, and no one called me names, and no one beat me, and no one called me red bitch and white bitch and all those horrible things that my mother called me as I was growing up. And so the more I went to church and the more I read the Bible, I started to intuitively get this sense that my life had meaning, and that my life had purpose, that my life was more than what my mother had said it was or declared me to be. And I always had that sense. And then it was confirmed for me. When we moved to the suburbs, Mama, like I said, she didn't go to church. And so Grandmama wasn't there to take me into church anymore. And so I had to find my own church. And I found this church on the train line in Evanston, because the buses didn't run on Sundays in Evanston back, you know, in the late 70s, early 80s. And so I found this church, Second Baptist, and I took myself to church every Sunday morning. Mama didn't mind me. She was really strict, but she didn't mind me going to church for whatever reasons. And I would get there for Sunday school, and I'd stay late until, if they had a program in the evening, I was there, okay? Because that was time away from my mother and my home and her husband and the chaos that I experienced there on a daily basis. So anyway, one Easter Sunday, I think I was about 13, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson preached the Easter Sunday service. And, you know, we were all excited to have I didn't really know that much about him at that time. I was 13. It was maybe the 70s, mid-70s, late 70s, something like that. And I heard him preach for the very first time. Not talk about politics, but preach a sermon. And the way he talked about Jesus, and the analogy that he made about the suffering of Jesus on the cross, it was my aha moment. If they crucified Jesus, if Jesus' life had purpose, then so could my suffering have purpose. And so I started to go through life as this preteen, really understanding that my life was about purpose. Now, I didn't know what the purpose was at that time, but I got it, that God was going to use this thing, that God was going to use my pain and the ugliness that I was experiencing as a child. I didn't know that, you know, I'd turn out to be this person that I am today. Now, let me be clear. I don't think God gave me AIDS. I had sex. I made a choice about my life and about my body, and that choice left me with HIV. But God took the choices I made and did something awesome with it. There was a period in my life before I became this big AIDS activist and started traveling across the country. I worked in politics. And so I always thought that the work that I was doing was about helping others, about helping to bring forth a just society and a peaceful world. I was doing voter registration. I was doing working with homeless. I was doing you name it. If it was about trying to enrich the lives of others, that's what I was doing. But I now see that as even training ground for where I am today. And so this is what I do know. This is what I do know. It's that the Bible says, in this world there'll be tribulation, but be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. This is what I do know, that even Jesus suffered on the cross. And so if Jesus then suffered on the cross, then why can't we? Why isn't there suffering in our lives? You know, we have this quick fix idea of Christianity. You know, I call it the name it and claim it gold card Christianity. And that's not to say that God doesn't want you to have a great life, but that there is suffering. But what I know for sure, and my life is an example of that God can take that suffering and do something mighty with it and something awesome with it. You just have to be open to the possibilities. And that's what I did. I opened up my life to what I thought God had for me. And the rest has really been history. And I haven't missed a beat. And so that my life is about service. And I'm really humbled when I think about it. It's that God could take all that ugly stuff and do something awesome with it. Happy Easter. And know that God can take your life and do something awesome with it.